Are you a new teacher looking for some lesson plans or unit ideas? Or maybe you're a seasoned teacher that has a great plan that just needs it spiced up a little bit. Brisk has got some great ideas, but how do you get started? AI-powered education is next. Wow, Casey and I are here today to really jump into a tool because we like to talk about theory and we like to share tools and play with them and experiment, and then also talk about how we can put that theory into practice, as in praxis. And so we're going to talk about the tool of Brisk. And your school system has actually gotten a school license, right? And you're all bought in and you're training staff and so forth. And I have new teachers that are just searching for anything. They just need information, and they don't have a lot of time. Nobody does. And then seasoned teachers as well, maybe just want to spice up their really cool lessons. So I do know that theoretically, Dr. Goldie Mohammed talks a great deal about using primary documents to teach literacy. And it really is a much more equitable and social justice and gets learners really excited. And you're going to talk about how you are using your topic, your content area, and how you're using Brisk. And we're going to actually show how that's done. So we're just going to jump a little bit from that theory right into how we actually make that work with Brisk.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction to Brisk. I know I've talked about it on the show before because I absolutely love what it can do and how it has changed the way that I envision assignment creation, resource creation, basically anything that I have traditionally either outsourced from Teachers Pay Teachers or my own brainchild that I've sat with for, weeks to months to years to try to figure out how am I going to do this. And it allows me to sort of test and do a trial run, but I don't have to pay for all of these tests and trial runs, and I just get to experiment. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I use Brisk just in a couple of ways, but there are way more features than what I'm going to show today. And to kind of come back to this theory that we should be using primary documents to enhance literacy in our classrooms, I couldn't agree more. I think the more authentic we can be with our students about the resources that, we're learning to read, how to read in my college English class, right? Like they know how to read, but how to really read with intention to try to join a conversation that has been in existence long before the student and will continue long after the student. I want them to see that they have a voice that matters in that. And what better way than to go to the original piece of work that they might be interacting with. So one of the most original pieces of work that really generates conversation in my classroom is Helen Keller's essay, The Most Important Day. She recounts the moment she learned language, like truly understood that words represented ideas and that she was capable of taking an idea and then forming her own. And oh man, I love it. But in case you were, living under a rock in the last, 10 years, students doubt her existence. They really do. They think there's no possible way that this woman could be real. They really question her. And so my thoughts with using Brisk today would be to try to get students to recognize that she's a real woman, game changer, and truly inspiring. And so what I would do here now is just share my screen with you. And so I can grab my screen. 1 second.
So again, with Brisk, you can use, a free version and play with it and that kind of thing. But you can also pay for it yourself, or you can ask your school district if they'll help pay, or maybe even ask your tech team to look into it, to buying it for your entire district. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're looking at now is from the American Foundation for the Blind, and it's the biography of Helen Keller. And so what I would want to do is take some of these, the content of this maybe it's through the images because there are really great images here, or it's the content itself. And instead of having my students just go blindly to this website to read, I might want to take some of this content and pair it with the original essay that we would be reading in class. And so my Brisk extension is this little button here. You can see it appears on all of the pages once I've downloaded the extension, which it's free for everybody to use, but I do have some other features that are available to me because I'm on the Educator Pro. And so this new student boost activities, this is something that's brand new. And in fact, we're on like a trial run with it. So I'm going to bypass that and just go straight to the traditional features of Brisk. And here you can see these are the options that it gives me on a web page. So I can create, I can give feedback, I can change the level, which is really awesome, especially for students that are reading at a different reading level than what the web page gives you. So if I were to click on the change level, it tells you that what it's currently at is a 9th grade reading level. But let's say I know I have a speaker who's at a 5th grade reading level. I could put that in there. And maybe I even know that this student's primary language or first language is Spanish. And for me, the content's what's important, and not necessarily that they're reading it in English. So I might click on change that reading level, and it's going to create a new document in Google Docs because that's how it's tied together. And it will link the original article. It will include images and content, but now in a 5th grade reading level that's in Spanish. So you can see how it goes through that. It does give you some pop-ups to help you with some tips, some things to remember. Let's say if I only wanted to do a small section of that web page, I could highlight that instead of doing the entire thing.
But again, Casey, this is saving so much time. You're not looking for something to translate. You're not trying to talk to the language teacher. You're literally doing it in moments right here with the photos, everything looking great inside a Google Doc. Go ahead.
Exactly. And then you can also see on here, after it gets done making the translation, I can add on and do other tools with this. Maybe I need to translate it back into English. Maybe it needs to be shorter because it is a long document, right? And it will make it shorter, but I can also specify what I would like to remove or what I would like it to focus on. Maybe there's some aspect of Helen Keller's life, just the one around language that I would like to focus on. But I can also create a quiz. Now, one of the things that is hard for some teachers is really determining what are the key questions that we should be asking our students, and especially if we have different language barriers or things that might interfere with that. So creating a quiz to check reading comprehension. So create a quiz about this article. I can also add more to this prompt. The better our prompts, the better the product is going to be that comes out. I can choose the grade level that I want the questions to be at, if I want them to be multiple choice, or if I want them to be a fill in the blank sort of thing, how many questions, all of that. Now it's going to create the quiz in English. Once I hit next, it's going to prompt me if I want to do it in a Google Doc or in a Google form. I like to just do it in Google Forms because another really great feature is that it answers them. It makes an answer key for you so you don't have to worry about that. That to me is what a true assistant is for, right? I shouldn't have to waste valuable time making an answer key to a document.
Yeah. And then Casey, because it's in a form, right? Now you've got the graphs, the data, the statistics. You can show the patterns to your learners. You can see yourself and you can reflect on how you did, how they're doing. You can think about who needs more personalization. What are the next steps based on the data you've gathered, right? It's next steps to instruction. Okay.
Yep. And so as you can see, I can click on the question and it already has the correct answer. It automatically gives them 1 point. You can go back and change this. This is a long time ago on our show, we talked about how Brisk and other tools that have AI features do 80% of the work. You still need to do the other 20% to make it personal, to make it you, adding on what you think is best for your students and what they need to learn. So that's the reading level changes, the language changes, creating quizzes all from a web page. And I think that's pretty exciting. What's really great too is that you're not limited to just web pages. So let's say you want to take a YouTube video and create something from that. Again, your Brisk icon is going to just kind of hover on the page, and you can go to your create button here, and you could create a quiz like I just did with a document before. You can do that for a YouTube video. You can also create other types of essential documents that might be important. Let's say we want to create a depth of knowledge questionnaire about the video. So again, create it for that video. I can change this grade level. This video is made for kids, so it's made for younger, group of students. So I'm going to keep it at 5th grade just because that is what's going to make it easier. So now it's creating a depth of knowledge worksheet that I could maybe use a few questions for a recall, like, hey, quick question here, true or false, whatever it might be. But then as it goes through, it's creating questions that extend their knowledge even more, comes up with activities. Again, the stuff you want your assistant to help you with. And sometimes we're on islands here, in small school districts especially. You don't have time to be kicking around ideas with another teacher who isn't teaching the same content as you. So you almost get that person in Brisk, somebody to kick around ideas with. And I absolutely love that. So this is something that I would modify and give to my students. Maybe they answer these questions right on a Google Doc. Maybe I have them create a Google slideshow. Whatever I want to do, I have the option to do that. Brisk works with pretty much anything in the Google suite. So if you want to use slides, if you want to use docs, whatever it might work with is there for you. So that's a quick overview of Brisk. Sandra, what other things am I missing here?
Well, I'm just going to say that you just did a really great example of going right to your document, right to the materials that you had. You started with the Helen Keller biography page and use Brisk from there. Other ways of going is like to actually start at the Brisk website and then having all those drop-down menus and selecting pretty much all the same things that you just did. Maybe you can connect it to state standards. There's some learning objectives or all of that. But I think the beauty of this is going to your actual documents that are all linked up because of the Google Suite, and then just going in an extension of Brisk and going in and creating them right there. They're dropped right into a Google Doc. And again, I just love the fact that it is an assistant. So there's the 80% done. And the real beauty is personalizing it for reading level, for languages, for all of those things as well. And then you doing the rest, like spicing it up yourself, making it your document. And then just kind of going back and stepping back as a teacher and reflecting and say, wow, like, where were the weak parts? Where are the strengths here? And then do that afterwards when the learners are done and you've got the data, and maybe you did some kind of quiz and you took a look at all the data that came from what you provided and talk to the learners. What do they think about this process? How could it be better, right? Do all that reflecting. Now, I know we're not going to have time for it, but there's just one more really strong piece about Brisk, and that's feedback.
Yes.
That's something we'll have to talk about later. But literally, when the learner decides to do a bunch of writing and work, you can connect it with Brisk, and now you're going to personalize feedback and next steps. So that sounds like another program for us to talk about.
I think so. I think we should definitely talk about the feedback features of Brisk in another episode where we can really break down what types of feedback we want to give to students. And then there's also analytics for that too, where it says you've been giving feedback on X, Y, and Z. Would you like to create a boost lesson here? And it takes, again, that guesswork out of what do my students need? I see how they did on this assignment overall, 4 kids got 5 out of 10 and the rest seem to be okay. But what are those 4 kids? Why are they only getting half of the content? Brisk can help you figure that out and then provide you with resources to make it easier to get them on track with everybody else. It's really incredible. This is just one of many tools that exist in the world of AI in education. And I really hope that people are exploring and playing, because that's where it all begins.
Exactly. So again, like we said at the beginning, whether you're a seasoned teacher and you just want to spice up whatever you had that's like you something that you love and you want to just see what else I can do with it, or a new teacher is just like, oh my gosh, where do I start? Where do I begin? I have all these great pieces. I know what I want to do, but I really don't know how to do all the details of it and organize of it and the scaffolding and personalization of it. But it goes just again makes me think about like we started out with in theory, using those primary documents, using whatever you get your hands on to really make it powerful lesson and engaging for your learners. So thank you for showing us Brisk, and I'm sure we'll be back to it again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.